first times first. What's x times x? X squared. Then I take my outers. What's my outer times outer? X times 7. And what are my inners? Good. And those are my outers and my inners. What about my last times last? Negative 28. And again, I can combine my like terms. So what is my final answer?
X squared plus 3x.
Perfect. X squared plus 3x minus 28. Very good. So let's talk about what relationships we see between factored form and standard form. So think about, where did this x squared come from? Where did the x squared come from? X times x, right? It was my first time first, right? The x squared comes from the x times the x. It's my first term times my first term. And where did the negative 28 come from? The last times the last, right? The negative 28 comes from my last times last. Just like the 10 comes from my last times last. And then what about the middle term? The outers and the inners. Outer times outer plus inner times inner. Let's write last times last over here. Okay. My outers and my inners give me the middle term. The first times first gives me this first term, and the last times the last gives me this last term. So now when we want to go backwards, what we always want to start by looking at is that last number. Start looking at that last number and think about what factors would multiply together to get to this last number, and that would also add together to get to the middle number. Okay, so let's look at 4. So again, I start by looking at this last number, the 15, right? What are the factors of 15? 3 and 5, or 1 and 15, right? And really, this one, they kind of like start it for you, right? And they say, one of my last terms is going to be 3. So 3 times what is going to equal 15? 5, right? But then if I check my outers and my inners, right, I'm going to get 5x and 3x. What's 5x plus 3x? 8x, right? Which is what I have here in this middle term. The x times the x is already done for you, so we don't really need to worry about that part. Okay, let's look at part B. Part B, again, my x squared is already kind of taken care of. I have x times x. But then I need to get to 6. So what times 2 is going to give me 6? 3. Good. And again, my outers would be 2x. My inners would be 3x. 2x plus 3x is what? 2x plus 3x is what? 5x, which is what I want. Okay, and then in C, again, all my x squareds, the x's are just already taken care of. But now I need to get to 24. I need to get to 24, and they don't give me any hint here. I just need to figure out what 2 numbers would multiply together to get to 24. What are all the possibilities? Why did you just stop at 3 and 8? Because they have to add together to get to 11. Exactly. Okay? 3 and 8. Good. Right? Because 2 times 12, that also equals 24. But 2 plus 12 is 14, not 11. Right? Can you guys work on D through H, please? D through H. I don't know, would it? Why would it be the same thing? Is it the exact same problem? It's not the exact same problem. What's different about D from C? There's a negative there. Yeah, you can. Because you're worried about that. After that, really just means like you're saying the same y. When you say like y equals 3x plus 2, it could also write it in. After that equals 3x plus 2. All right. So in part D, again, I'm looking for numbers that are going to multiply together to get to 24, but add together to get to negative 11. What changes about D? What changes about D from C? So then what changes about your factors? They're both negatives now, right? They do that for us, but right, positive 3 plus 8 gives you positive 11. Positive 3 times positive 8 gives you 24. Negative 3 times negative 8 also gives you positive 24, but when you add them together, you get that negative 11. So be careful about your positives and your negatives. Okay. In part E, looking at 6. What are the factors of 6? 1 and 6, or 2 and 3? Which of those pairs is going to get me to negative 7? 1 and 6. How do we get to 7 from 1 and 6? 1 plus 6 gives you 7, gives you negative 7. Yeah, they both have to be negative, right? That's why they're both negative here. So minus 1, minus 6. Or it could be minus 6, minus 1. Either way, it's okay. Okay, F is easy because they gave us one of them, right? What times 8 gives you negative 16? Negative 2, right? Minus 2. Okay, and then in part G, and we're looking at negative 4. What are my factors of negative 4, or of 4? What are the factors of 4? So which of those pairs can get me to positive 3? How do we? Very good. A positive 4 and a negative 1. And you might think it's the same exact problem in H, but it's not. They are slightly different because this, again, has this negative middle term. What would this one be? Yeah, a positive 1 and a negative 4 get me to this negative 3. Good. Okay, so again, these numbers that we fill in are going to multiply together to get to this last term, and they're going to add together to get to the middle term. All right, in number 6, this 3 in part A that we pulled out in front of the parentheses, that was the GCF. We factored out the GCF. And the reason why we do that, the reason why we practice that, is so that we have this equation is more simplified, so it becomes easier to factor. So again, I got to look at this last term, got to look at the 5. What numbers multiply together to get to 5? 1 times 5, right? Can I use 1 and 5 to get to 6? How? Just positive 1, positive 5, right? Positive 1, positive 5. We're going to do the same thing in part B. I first want to factor out the GCF. So what is the GCF in part B? 3. So I'm going to take the 3 and stick it out in front. And now I need to divide by 3. So what is 3x squared divided by 3? Yeah, just x squared. What's 18x divided by 3? 6x. And what's 15 divided by 3? Have you seen this before? Yes, just the same exact problem. So now it actually factors to be the exact same thing. I'm going to keep my 3 out in front, and it becomes x plus 1, x plus 5. Okay? So you guys have numbers 1 through 3 to do on this side, and if you finish 1 through 3, you can start working on the back. I can help you a little bit. No, unless you want to.